So we live in a world where our social systems are old. Our language is old, and the way we acquire goods and services is outdated. Our cities are detrimental to our health, chaotic, and a tremendous waste of energy and resources. And our politicians do not serve us. But our technology is racing forward. We're trying to adjust to the rapid advances in technology with obsolete values that no longer work in today's world. What is needed is a change in our sense of direction and purpose, an alternative vision for a sustainable new world civilization, unlike any in the past. That's what we're presenting here, and we call it the Venus Project. And its activist arm was organized by Peter Joseph, and that's called the Zeitgeist Movement. When I refer to sustainability, I'm not referring to sustainability for the banks, corporations, or obsolete social systems that we live under, but by sustainability, I mean the well-being of all people in a new social system that would help bring them to their highest potential while protecting and preserving the environment. What I'm talking about is intelligently managing the Earth's resources by using the methods of science applied to the social system in a more humane way. Almost everyone will prefer using scientific means when it comes to surgery, the building of aircraft, skyscrapers, bridges, and automobiles. Over the centuries, we've developed a consensus that when it comes to matters of personal safety, we choose science and technology rather than primitive belief systems or politics because science has proven to work. Then why don't we use scientific scales of performance when it comes to planning our societies, our cities, our transportation systems, agriculture, healthcare, and so on? If science has a lot to do with what works, then clearly there's much about today's social system and economic system that's not scientific. Because things aren't working very well for the majority of people and the environment. If they were, war, poverty, hunger, homelessness, and pollution would have been solved long ago. Unfortunately, our social structures evolved with no overall global planning or an understanding of just what shapes our behavior, and it's not even being considered today. The Venus Project wants to apply an intelligent method of planning for planetary survival. If we don't apply the scientific method to the way we live, unnecessary suffering will continue. We have the technological ability and the resources to feed everyone on the planet, but we don't have the money to do so. How do we even begin to solve our problems within the methods of the monetary system that we all live under? The use of money is hardly ever examined, but let's consider it along with how much it influences our behavior and our values. Money itself does not have any value. There's no gold or anything to back it up. It's just a picture on a cheap piece of paper with an agreement amongst people as to what we can buy. I'd say a forced agreement because we don't really determine the price of things. If it rained $100 bills right now, everyone would be happy except for the bankers. So let's look at money. Money is just an interference factor between what we need and what we're able to get. People think in terms of wanting a job to get the money to fulfill their needs. But if they really thought about it, it's not the money that they want, but the access to goods and services or the necessities of life. The use of money results in social stratification and elitism. They say in America that people are equal. Most people don't buy the kind of car they want or the house they want. They buy what they can afford. Most cultures tell us that people are free. But one is really only as free as their purchasing power. How can someone be free if you can't get the best medical care or education for your children? Most people are slaves to jobs they don't like, but they have to do because of the money. Many laws are enacted for the benefit of corporations that have the money to lobby, bribe, and persuade government officials to make the laws to serve their own interests, not yours. People say that the monetary system produces incentive. This may be true in a limited extent, but it also produces greed, corruption, crime, war, poverty, and unnecessary human suffering. We really must look at the entire picture. The entire monetary system is based on artificial scarcity. For example, food products are sometimes destroyed just to keep the prices up. There's a tremendous waste of resources as a result of frequent superficial design changes in order to create continuous markets. This is really true and evident in the fashion industry. This system is based on the need for continuous buying. You and I are merely consumers in this system. There's a tremendous environmental degradation due to the high cost of more appropriate waste disposal. But one of the greatest wastes of resources and lives is the military. How shameful that it's the biggest industry in the world. The earth is being plundered for profit. It's little understood just how our values are shaped. Our values are influenced by the media for the benefit of the establishment, the banks, most churches, the military, and corporations. For the most part, they determine the public agenda to serve their own interests, while they perpetuate the illusion that the values that the public has is generated from the ground up. They do this with such notions and empty words as freedom, patriotism, and democracy. What we have all over the world is managed news by the establishment. They produce the books, the TV, the movies, the education, the entertainment, which in turn shapes our behavior and our values. Most important, when the corporation's bottom line is profit, all decisions are made not for the benefit of people or the environment, but primarily for the acquisition of wealth, property, and power. For instance, if your country really cared about you, they wouldn't outsource for low-wage jobs elsewhere. Another example is that industries take good care of their production machinery, but their employees are often neglected. What if all the money in the world suddenly disappeared? As long as we have arable land, factories, technical personnel, and other resources, we could build anything we choose to build and fulfill any of our needs. As I mentioned, money is not what people really need. Rather, it's the access to the necessities of life. The Venus Project advocates that we could easily overcome scarcity, which is the cause of war, corruption, and aberrant behavior, by implementing a resource-based economy. This is different than any concept that's ever gone before. It's not socialism, communism, or fascism. To put it simply, a resource-based economy uses resources rather than money, and people have free access to the necessities of life without money, credit, taxation, or any other form of debt or servitude. All of the Earth's resources are held as the common heritage of all the world's people. The real wealth of any nation isn't its money, but its resources and the people who are working toward the elimination of scarcity for a more humane society for all. Excuse me. If you still are confused about this, consider this. If a group of people were stranded on an island with with gold, diamond, and money, but the island had no arable land, no fish, no clean water, their wealth would be irrelevant to their survival. In a resource-based economy, resources are used directly to enhance the lives of the world's people. If we manage resources wisely, we can easily produce the necessities of life and provide a very high standard of living for everyone. This may be hard to believe, but even the wealthiest of today would have a much higher standard of living in a resource-based economy. When technology and science are unleashed into society to improve the lives of everyone without restrictions of the marketplace or patents, it would be a far better world. In the future, children would be taught to be problem solvers instead of the parasitic professions used within the monetary system that don't contribute to the well-being of people. These would be such fields as advertising, insurance, real estate, law, politics, and sales, just to name a few. When all the Earth's resources are shared, there will be no need for the military. This savage profession could easily be surpassed in a resource-based economy. These people are trained only to be killing machines. How wonderful it would be if they were trained to be problem solvers instead, and taught how to bridge the difference between people without violence. When all the Earth's resources are managed as the common heritage of all the world's people, the artificial boundaries that separate nations would no longer be necessary. Invasions of countries purely for resource theft will be a thing of the past. In the future, instead of fighting one another over scarce resources, people will be working toward solving problems that are common to everyone, such as the risk of heart disease, cancer, tsunamis, earthquakes, and so on. Remember that most every new concept was ridiculed, rejected, and laughed at when first presented, especially by the experts of the times. All new ideas for social benefit, including women's rights, black rights, and child labor, have always been met with great resistance. During the time of the Wright brothers, the distinguished scientists of the day were writing books explaining why man can't fly. The Wright brothers didn't read their books and went right ahead and built the flying machine. When science is applied with human and environmental concern,